Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. Today, we're going to be reacting to Ruben Amorim's explosive press conference ahead of the Aston Villa game. Ruben Amorim isn't holding back. In a bombshell pre-match press conference for Aston Villa, the boss actually addressed the entitlement of the youth stars like Amass and Chido, following their social media posts, we will also dive into the free Mainoo t-shirt controversy, Bruno Fernandes' shock interview about his teammates' commitment, and Amorim's direct response to Sir Alex Ferguson's 10-year title warning. And, excuse me, with Casemiro out and Villa on a 9-game winning streak, is this the moment for Kobbie to start? So these are things I'm going to be talking about in the press conference. I'm going to just be getting this thing word for word, so we can actually break it down and not just, talk out, because I need to get the exact words. I'm not getting it like off of social media and all that. I need to get the exact words, and these are Ruben Amorim's exact words. Just to give you a bit of an intro and a breakdown, as we talked about, the boss actually did that, and he was asked about the Villa's remarkable form, which has seen them win 9 games across all competitions, as well as topical issues surrounding Mainoo and Fernandes. He also revealed that there are no fresh absentees other than those we already knew about. Now, the first question with regards to that, which thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe. We always try to break down all of these things and all of that. So thank you so much for joining. And for those who haven't already, please just like the video and then share and subscribe so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to everything Manchester United. Now basically, the first question that was asked, like I said, I don't want to know who asked the question. Later on, we'll analyze who asked the question and what they're trying to get at. Now, the first question that was asked was you've got Casemiro out, the lads that have gone to AFCON, the African Cup of Nations. Is there anybody else unavailable for Sunday? That's a good question with regards to the game, because with the media, they don't seem to ask any question with regards to the game. But this first question is good, and he says, no, I think everyone is well. We have one more training, but today I think the rest of the guys are ready to go. And I think this is a follow-up question. It says, does that mean that Ligt and Maguire could feature? He says, no, I'm saying that nobody recovered, no one new is out, just the guys that you already know. Then the next question was with regards to, like before with this one, no fresh injury, no injury concerns whatsoever, nothing whatsoever. But the next question that was asked was with regards to, you've been asked about, Kobbie in recent years, in recent press conferences. It's kind of unavoidable not to ask you again in the wake of his half-brother wearing a free Kobbie t-shirt. Have you seen that? Have you spoken to Kobbie about it? I talked about it in one of our videos with Isaiah Kodera, and I said he's going to get a talking to. But let's see what happens. Ruben Amorim says no. It was not Kobbie that wore the t-shirt. He is not going to start because of the t-shirt. He is not going to be on the bench because of the t-shirt. He's going to play if we feel that he is the right guy to play. So that is not an issue. I'm used to it. I'm here for a year. It's not new, so we have to deal with that. But I'm not going to do something to Kobbie because someone in his family is doing something. He's going to be the same. If he's the right guy to play, he's going to play. My response to this, because yesterday, I think Ben Jacobs came out on United Stand TV and talked about his feeling that Kobbie must have endorsed the interview. Must have endorsed the t-shirt wearing by his brother and all of that. That's the feeling he was getting. But from this response from Amorim, he's not telling you we're going to deal with it internally, but he's telling you we're going to deal with it internally. He's not telling you that, that does not influence it, because if Kobbie brother wears the t-shirt, does not influence the decision of Ruben Amorim to either start or bench Kobbie. So he's not telling you anything, but telling you something indirectly. And that is a very smart way to deal with the press and to deal with the interview. Because if you're going to have to respond and react to everything you see on social media, it will make you will just be a reactionary kind of manager, right? And that is good. They were trying to get something out of him, and I think he just give them the answer and close it out like that. Say, wearing the t-shirt does not determine if he's going to play. Wearing the t-shirt does not determine if he's going to be on the bench. I'm not going to say, okay, I'll punish Kobbie because someone in his family did it. Maybe he's had that talking to. He didn't answer that second part of the question, by the way. But maybe he's had that talking to already, but it's not going to come and reveal to you, oh, I've talked to him, this is what I said to him, blah, blah, blah. And these journalists know it, but they'll still try to poke just in case something slips. Now, the next question was in regards to the game, which is also good. I like the fact that they keep asking about the game. In terms of this game, and by the way, this is the first part of the press conference that we always react to, part one, and we'll just basically tell you what we think about all of that, and then just break it down as the case may be. Now, it says in terms of this game, Villa have won 9 on the bounce, 15 out of 17. Do you think they're genuine Premier League title contenders? They're genuine Premier League title contenders. Ruben Amorim says everything can happen. I think they have a manager with a lot of experience. You can see when you watch Villa play, you can sense it's a very mature team. Understands Unai Emery doesn't panic when he's losing. He doesn't feel overwhelmed when he's winning. He can control the emotion all the time. I think they are a very strong team. If they're going to fight until the end for the title, I don't know, but they are capable of that. Measured, straightforward, not over the top, not too low, and all of that. Which brings me back to the very recent 50-minute interview I watched between Ferdinand and Bruno Fernandes. And it's just a bit more like this response. Not overly over the top, not overly under, just measured on the same level, which I quite like about Ruben Amorim's response. Everybody's expecting him to come out with, fiery and all of those things. But yeah, and this was a very good question with regards to Villa's form, right? And we've done the match preview. You can go check it out on the channel, talked about the game and everything in between. Now, another question was in terms of United at the moment, only City have scored more goals, right? That was the next question I was asked. You probably considered more than you wanted to. How do you find the balance between attack and defense? You see, like, it seems this press conference is a bit more, it's a bit better than that of the pre-Bournemouth game, right? Maybe part 2 of pre-Bournemouth was a bit off, but this first part for pre-Bournemouth and then now for the Villa game, asking about the game, right? So he says, oh, we watched the game again against Bournemouth. We can avoid those goals. It was a lot of transition. We have to put everything on the line when we are defending. Sometimes we're not doing that. We need to work on some details to suffer less goals, because in the end, it's going to make a difference. I like that. Very straightforward, very detailed and all of that. And you're going to see some of those snippets on our channel, because we tend to kind of analyze those directly and all of that. So that is a very straightforward and good response to, talking about, the whole of the press conference and all of that. Which takes me to the next question. And then they go back to Mainoo again. He's answered the Mainoo question, but they go back to it. And guess what? Very short response, and we'll read the question. It says, to go back to Mainoo, you've had conversations with him about the situation this week. I know he didn't answer that second part of the question in the first question, but now they're asking, have you had conversations about the situation this week? Because it comes on the back of him playing the most minutes he has in recent weeks, right? He says, and he's played really well. That was Ruben Amorim's response, just to try to, kind of kill that the noise around Kobbie Mainoo. He says, so that is the important thing, that he has played so in response, and he has played so well, avoiding that question of having that conversation with Kobbie Mainoo. So he says, so that is the important thing. My office is always open. Nobody went there this week, so I think everything is normal and we are ready to go to Villa. Straightforward, just ends the conversation. Like, I like it, because it's like he's trying as much as possible to move away from that question, and then they keep trying to bring him back. And I'm going to find out who's talking about that, because in one of our reaction videos we're going to talk about it. Now, it says you've talked about being here at the club for a year and having to deal with situations like this. How have you found that off the back? How have you found that off the back of? Also this week, Bruno's interview came out with some quotes. I know he did another interview with the club as well, but with Rio Ferdinand. But it's just another situation I suppose you have to deal with. Now, listen to what Ruben Amorim says. The difference is that he spoke with the club before that interview and said what he's feeling. Of course, we can avoid these things because we already know the noise. But he talked with the board, and I think everything is clear. Straightforward. Like, there's no need to make too much noise about this. And I said this to myself while I was thinking about the interviews. It's like Bruno will not just go out there and just drop things like that without actually or damning the club or questioning the dressing room. He must have talked to the club because like that's how things work, right? He must have talked to the club. He must have talked with, the board to try to get a sense of what is going on so that he doesn't basically speak out of line. But then he spoke his mind, right? And the board understand that. Yeah, quite right. This might pretty much be his last year at Man United or his last period at Man United. But seeing as he's very important, he's not going to come out and just ruin everything, right? So then they had to, I think this was a follow-up question, they had to bring it back again. He says, one of the things he did say in the interview is that he did with, so one of the things he did say in the interview that he did with the Portuguese Federation is that he didn't think that everybody defended the club the way he does. Almost as though some people don't care as much as he does. Is it fair, do you think? Then Ruben Amorim responds, I don't know if it is fair. He just spoke about his feelings and he needs to answer to that, not me. I like that. So he took it away and he says he's an example that gives everything. He puts everything on the line. That's defending Bruno in every training and every match. And that is all there for all to see. In that department, he's special. He has that feeling. We need to step up and also have that feeling. And also to have that feeling. So he says, he is special. He has that feeling. We need to step up and also have that feeling. That's what Ruben Amorim is saying. So it's like Bruno is coming out to say stuff and maybe it might have been translated or anything. Not that I'm defending what Bruno said, but Bruno had to say his mind. He speaks his mind, right? And then obviously he says, he had the feeling that everybody needs to step up. That's pretty much what Ruben Amorim got from the interview. He must have talked about it with Bruno, talked to Bruno about it and stuff. But I think you rarely see Bruno come out and talk a lot other than post-match and stuff. But the way he explained, like even the Rio Ferdinand interview, the way he explained himself, the way he gave details, like that was like absolutely peak, right? So he did that interview with the club, did another interview with Rio Ferdinand, and that was it. So he says we need to ask him because he's a big example in the group. So it's like, don't ask me about what he said, go and ask him because he would explain. And obviously he's explaining in the Fernandes interview. They just want to get the manager's take, and the manager is giving you his take. He has the feeling he's an example, and basically we need to also have that feeling. Then more questions on Bruno. They said, he's the captain, the biggest person in the dressing room. It would be a concern if that was really what he felt. Now Ruben Amorim still answered the same question the same way because the question asked in a different way. He spoke his feelings. I think again, when I watch Bruno training and playing, he's a special character. I think the numbers, the amount of games prove that he's a different player. End the conversation there. Don't ask me further. Like, that's pretty much straightforward on what, I feel about it. Then, I don't know, because the truth is the media are always like wanting to. Now, somebody said something in the live stream that obviously that the journalists are doing their job. No doubt, we give them the credit for doing their job. But you look at this interview like this, you look at questions trying to poke and probe and probe and probe and probe. It tends to give you a sense of an idea of like, why are they trying to do this, right? Now, which leads me to the next question. He says, when you saw in the summer, you spoke about organizing a leadership group because there were things that ended up on your desk that you perhaps didn't want to end up on your desk, and it could just be solved in the dressing room. Is this thing with Mainoo one of those things that you maybe don't necessarily have to get involved in, but maybe the leadership group could pull him to one side and say, look, Then Amorim just says, no, it's continuing a little bit. Everything on my desk. Every problem in our football club, it's still me who has to deal with that. But it will take time. But again, my doors are always open, and there was not Kobbie. So it's like, my doors are always open. Kobbie didn't come to me to talk to me about anything. So it is what it is. The job of Kobbie is to train and to play. Straight up, straight facts, no big deal. I felt he did really well this game against Bournemouth. So that is the most important thing for me. If he has to play, he's going to play. If he's not going to play, he's not going to play. Straightforward. End the interview. End the conversation. Don't ask me about Kobbie again. Then, this is the next one. Why I heaved this, because it's the next one. It's like it talks about entitlement. Yeah, bro. It talks about entitlement, and it talks about like a whole lot of things, right? Now, the next question, I don't know who asked this question, but I suspect it's Jamie Jackson, because I haven't watched the interview. I'm just kind of getting the notes, right? The next question was with regards to Chido, Obi, and Harry Amass. And he says, I don't know if you saw what Chido, Obi, and Harry Amass posted on social media in the week. What do you make of that? It seems quite petty. I was going to talk about that, but maybe in a live stream or something. But I think I haven't been able to come live this week because I've been doing a lot of recording in the back end and trying to put out content. And it's just me that's doing all the editing and everything. But I was going to react to it because I felt like, and I've been on other lives to actually analyze these things. And I felt like, you know, we need to discuss this issue with, you know, Harry Amass and stuff. He says, I think it's a little bit the feeling of entitlement we have in our club. That's damning. And for me, I feel like if Ruben Amorim is at the helm, unless these guys come out and maybe talk to them in the back end or anything, I think that this is my feeling, and I'm afraid I'm going to say it, I think they're done. I think Chido and Amass are done. Unless there's a conversation that has been had at the back end, I think they're done. Let's not like kid ourselves, because these are young players who are, I mean, Harry Amass is 19, Chido Obi is 18 or so. Like, they haven't pulled trees. Harry Amass has played really well. Everybody, we can't deny that. He has played really well. He has played well even for like Sheffield. But they haven't pulled trees. And Harry Amass and Chido did not read the room or understand the context. And you don't want to go against your manager posting online. The last person that did it is no longer at the club, right? Jadon Sancho, right? So you don't want to go against what your manager is saying. You can have a conversation with your manager in the back end. This is how professionals work. You must have said stuff, or maybe you, instead of having a conversation about it or trying to post to prove a point, you prove a point on the field of play. Work your way to prove the manager wrong, not to kind of show that, oh, obviously I'm at the club, I'm putting in the numbers and all of that. He says, I think it's a little bit the feeling of entitlement we have in our club. Sometimes strong words is not bad words. Sometimes difficult moments are not bad things for the kids. We don't need to always be with accolades in everything, in every situation. That is why you guys talk about a lot of players nowadays, that they speak, they go against the clubs, and everything happens because they feel entitlement. Then you have legends of the club. Oh, that is a deep one. He says, then you have legends of the club who say if you don't play, leave, because everyone is wrong. No, let's not think about, let's say, oh, let's fight. Like, instead of thinking about that, he says, let's fight, let's stay, let's fight, let's overcome. Maybe the manager is wrong. That's kind of like, prove the manager wrong, prove him wrong. And Roy Keane said it really nicely. I'm going to do a reaction video to that Roy Keane video, just to kind of give you a sense of an idea of how I feel about some of these things. He says, oh, maybe the manager is wrong, so I have that feeling all the time that we need to fight against this feeling. Sometimes I'm the first one to say I'm feeling this club inside the pitch. I have that feeling we're not performing the way we should be. But outside the pitch, I guarantee you I'm not feeling this club. Like he says, but outside the pitch, I'm not feeling this club. Like I'm not feeling it like the way I feel it in the pitch. So I think it's something in our club. We talk about that. We talk about the players sometimes and forget what it means. We talk about the players sometimes forgetting what it means to play for Manchester United. We as a club sometimes forget who we are, and that is the feeling I have. I understand everything it's the environment, it's the moment of the players, the kids. They feel entitled. They feel free to respond to the manager with a picture. My office is open. Nobody's coming to talk to me, and that is the way we can solve things. So I think we need to change first as a club. Then everything is going to change. That is really straightforward. Like, the culture needs to change. The culture needs to change. Everybody needs to go down and graft. There's no need to kind of like come out there and be using social media pictures to kind of prove your point and all of that. So it's like, it's really tough, and I'm really disappointed, especially with the Amass and the Chido thing. Like, Ruben Amorim did not say that Harry Amass is struggling directly. He was referring to Sheffield Wednesday in the relegation battle. He is playing well, but in a relegation scrap. And if you turn that around and spin it around without actually taking it word for word, you can tend to understand that he knows where he's going with that. You can tend to understand that it builds his character to understand what it means to fight. And that is what it is. But these guys don't understand. Young players, you go out on social media and put stats for no reason. What are you doing that for? Or you put pictures where you're celebrating a goal. Meanwhile, Chido Obi, in real fact, in the real grand scheme of things, hasn't been getting playing time at the academy under 21s. Okay, when was the last time you saw that Chido Obi came and trained with the first team? Because I've said this several times on this channel, there is a gap in quality between what we have with the academy versus what we have with the first team. And Ruben Amorim has said this several times, that he wants the players to train with the first team to understand the speed of the game and everything. You saw it last season that most of these players didn't really perform per se over the top. Like, Chido Obi was really struggling in the first team, except for in the postseason where he scored goals and stuff. Like, that's how you build character. That's how you learn the ropes. What do you want to learn from these top guys? These guys who are, like, you can look at Chido Obi is 18, but at 18, someone like Benjamin Šeško was in the first team in Slovenia, playing at the World Cup. At 18, someone like Kylian Mbappe, not trying to compare both, but someone like Kylian Mbappe was winning a World Cup. So we like, you have to look at it. I know they're different players, and Chido Obi is just an out-and-out number 9. Kylian Mbappe is a winger and stuff. But if Chido Obi was in like, as in PSG, will he perform this way? Probably will get enough minutes and build with them, but he's also getting well enough minutes he got last season, you know, playing. Like, we don't need that. Like, we don't need all of this drama, but it is what it is. So the next question was, right, would you appreciate it if they actually did come to you and seek an explanation rather than going on Instagram? Then Ruben Amorim says everything will be appreciated. Again, I didn't say nothing wrong last week about Chido Obi and Harry. I just spoke about how the luck of playing for Manchester United is. Sometimes you play for Manchester United and go see different realities, and you understand that football can be so different, and that you're really lucky to be in Manchester United. That was my point. But again, let's move on, and in time, I think these things will change. Change the culture of the club. I hope my United fans will understand this. Now, next question was just following on. I think a lot of fans would agree with you on those points. You are still surprised that these problems are still coming onto your desk. Are you still surprised that these problems are still coming onto your desk? Are you saying you hope that the leadership team, some of the senior players, will take a bit more responsibility at the stage of some of those things? For some of those things. Also, can I just ask, Sir Alex Ferguson has done an interview in Bahrain and said it's not easy what you're facing. He likened it to what Liverpool faced when they won the title in 1990 and went 30 years before they won it again. He's saying it could be another 10 or 11 years before United win this title, and I wondered what you thought about that. Like, it's Sir Alex Ferguson speaking his own opinion. Nobody's gonna break it down. Nobody's gonna come and say, "Oh, Sir Alex," like he's a subject matter expert in this situation, understanding the transition period that the team is going. And he says, like the key word, the key line there is, "I understand." Right? This now. This person tried to get two questions in one, and it's difficult to answer both of them because you have to explain the first one and explain the second one, and I'll see how Ruben Amorim Answers, very respectful response. He says he understands football more than me, especially English football. I think we will not take that long to win the league, and I don't know which manager is going to be here, but I truly believe that we can fight for the title in the next years, and I think it's not going to take so many years, but you never know. In relation to leadership, he responded to the first question. It's the moment for of the club, and you have to fight all the fights here inside, and I'm not here. I am here to do that. Until I am not here, I will fight, I will not back down, and I have to solve everything. So it's pretty much straightforward, saying, okay, I'm not going to answer the question, but I'm going to answer the question, in the sense that we'll deal with it internally, and then you guys just make of it what you will, right? Then the next question is like, oh, you can't do everything though. You are going to need players who pull other players into the line, surely. He has answered the question. We'll solve everything. He's saying it, you just don't understand it. He says, you're going to need the dressing room to help police itself. In our response, we are improving as a team, we are improving as a group, and we're going to improve in these small things that will make a difference, even to suffer goals. If we're a different group, we are going to suffer less goals, but we are scoring more. So let's think about the possibilities, the positives, and let's think about the Villa game. And I'm sure in part 2 he's going to talk more on the Villa game and stuff, but you see that all of those questions were like put out fire questions, right? So it's like, it's really tough. It's really tough to actually, like, I can totally feel Amorim, and it's not easy to manage a club the magnitude of Manchester United. You think it's just all of the things that you do on the pitch. If you've coached before, you understand it's not just like, I've been on the board of a district club, very small club, and I've coached that same club. Small club, like, we did win stuff, especially with the part of the world where we are. We won stuff, but we didn't like go over the top to try to win stuff. I've won stuff at district level playing football and all of that. So I totally understand that it is not easy to manage a club, to go to club board, to go to board meetings, to talk about stuff, to deal with like players fighting, to deal with red cards, bans, and interviews. And like, we didn't do a lot of interviews. Basically, we didn't do interviews at all. But running a club, like from just running a district club to actually running a big club like Manchester United, and being a manager within that club, even if it is the first team, second team, third team, fourth team, whatever, like, it's hard, it's tough. You have to think about lineups, you have to think about fit players, you have to think about injured players, you have to think about replacements, you have to bring players up, you have to work with players on individual stuff and everything. And I can understand saying, oh, everything has to, so it's like everything has to come through me. But obviously, we'll resolve those things internally without actually saying we'll resolve those things internally. Because the truth is, when he says we'll resolve those things internally, the next interview question he has, they'll ask him, have you resolved it internally? What did you find out? And all. So it's like trying to put an end to the question without actually putting an end to the question. But yeah, that was a very interesting 11-minute interview. Post-match pre-match press conference, and it was interesting to see Ruben Amorim's take on like the entitlement mentality, the Kobbie situation, and the Bruno Fernandes explosive interview. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. We'll continue to break things down like this, and we'll continue to kind of, give you our thoughts and feelings about things like that. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything that has to do with Manchester United. Also, put in comment sections what you think. Comment section what you think about all of these things. Wherever I find it, even on Facebook or even on basically on YouTube. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.